This week on the $1 Million Plan, we're going to do something we did a few weeks ago. We're going to take the radio show and the podcast and we're going to mash them up. Here's what that means to you. We're going to fix one person's financial life today. Her name is Autumn. You're going to meet her in just a moment. She lives in a state of which is, I don't actually know where she lives. We'll ask her. So she just increased her income significantly because she went back in the workforce. She's got over $1,000 a month to do something with, and she wants to see how it fits into her financial life. She's married. I think she's got like 70 kids, 4 kids. I don't know. It's all the same after one. So she's got 1,000 kids. So we're going to talk to her. If you're a radio show listener, you're going to hear what the podcast sounds like. If you want to be on the podcast, if you want me to dig through your financial life after changing your name and pertinent details, go to PeteThePlanner.com. I can't talk. PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. That's PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. And if you do that, submit the form. Nicole, actually, from the show, we'll contact you, have you on the show. We'll fix your situation. If you're a podcast listener and all the breaks and commercials of this show are going to bother you, you know what? Get over it. You'll be all right. And if you want to watch on PeteThePlanner.tv, we'd appreciate the views. And by the way, go ahead and subscribe to PeteThePlanner.tv. Go to PeteThePlanner.tv. You'll see a button that says subscribe. Use the mouse. Give it a little click. Use the mouse. A little bit of a click. All right, everybody. Here's Autumn. Hello, Autumn.
Hello.
I know we always choose fake names here on this show, and I like that you chose Autumn because it turns out fall is my favorite season because I'm a ginger. It's not as sweaty and hot, and I like it. Is that why you chose it too?
It is why I chose it. It's my favorite season. I'm also married to a ginger and have 2 gingers, and I just love the name.
You know, you've heard about my ginger dating site that I'm going to start. No? That would be awesome.
It's called, everyone needs a little more ginger in their life, I think.
They do. It's called theshade.com, where gingers meet. You know, because gingers tend to meet in the shade because it's so damn hot all the time. What are we doing today, Autumn? What are we focusing on here? You're 30-something, maybe? How old are you?
Yep, 33.
And household income of $110,000. How many people are working? What's going on? What are we working on together here today?
2 people are working. We have 4 kids. I just went full-time after staying at home for 9 years and working 1 year part-time.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of income changes. My husband also just got a little bit of a pay raise and is actually collecting some extra money by going back to school using his GI Bill.
Sweet.
And so there's just been an influx of money, and I want to make sure that we are making the right choices with that money.
Man, this is the great opportunity to do great things, or it's also an opportunity to mess stuff up by growing your lifestyle too aggressively. Do you feel like you've increased your lifestyle at all, or is this also fresh that you haven't really made any major changes yet?
No, this is all so fresh. We haven't made any major changes, and actually I think that we went through the growing the lifestyle phase in our 20s.
Yeah.
When he was in the military, and we didn't have as many responsibilities. And yeah, looking back, I would change a lot of things. But I think going forward and knowing what we know, that we can be really mature and responsible with this.
You know,
so that's what we're looking to do.
I always feel like military families are forced to grow up so fast, right? I mean, you're just living this high-speed life. You don't have necessarily a lot of financial responsibilities. And what's a weird, we're not going to really get into this today, but what happens a lot in the military communities is a lot of time young folks in the military, they get burned on housing. They get into a situation that doesn't make sense. Were you guys able to avoid that, or did you get burned on housing too?
No, we completely avoided it because we never bought a home while he was in the military. We always said we were never going to do that just because we moved around so much. So we didn't get burned on housing, but we definitely didn't make some of the smartest decisions with bonus money that he got and maybe buying new vehicles and things like that we could have done better with the money. But we know better now, so we're going to do better now.
I see you, speaking of vehicles, you have 2 vehicles at least, and you owe $39,000 between the two. Are those vehicles left over from some of those older decisions, or are these newer purchases?
No, they're one. Let's see. One we've had for about 3 years, and one is a newer purchase within the last year.
How much is the balance on the smaller vehicle or the older vehicle?
The balance,
Yeah.
about 9,000.
Okay, so the new one is really the majority there. How much is that payment on the $9,000 car loan? What's the monthly payment?
$330.
Okay. How much did your cash flow? I'm all over the place today. Sorry, I've had so much coffee, Autumn. How? You can see me sweating at PeteThePlanner.tv right now if you like. Not you, Autumn, because we're recording.
Right.
How much did your cash flow improve with this recent full-time gig that you have?
Let's see. We have about 15 to 1,700 extra a month.
Ooh. Oh. How much
we're
of it?
basically. Go ahead.
No, please. I was interrupting because I'm rude. Go ahead. Keep going.
We were pretty much just making ends meet when I was part-time, with a little bit of extra that always seemed to get eaten up by something.
Right.
And now we're more than able to make ends meet and have this chunk of money to decide what to do with.
You mentioned you have some extra because of the GI Bill. Will that when that money dries up, will that $1,500 be affected by that?
When he's no longer using that, it will be about 1,000 instead of 1,500.
And I feel like you mentioned something about a VA benefit that may be available, VA disability benefit soon. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, he has a disability rating, so in 3 years he'll start collecting that, and that will be approximately $1,300 a month. And so actually that should be about the same time that he's finishing up his degree.
Okay.
So the current stipulation he's getting for using his GI Bill will go away, but then he'll start receiving the disability rating.
So what is the?
So one's going to go away, and then he's going to start getting the other one, essentially.
What's he getting now? 500?
It's around 600. It depends. It's a weird formula that they use. As long as he maintains a full-time credit load with school, he gets that. Yeah, it's like 600 to 800, but it's weird because if the terms and there's like a week overlap, then they do a deduction, and it's weird. But we just figure about 600 a month with that.
So let's figure out the best way to assign this $1,500 of surplus every month to better you. So let's do some self-evaluation here. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being awesome, 1 being not so awesome, how do you view your short-term finances, so your short-term financial life? What do you think?
Short-term, I would say like an 8.
It's an 8. Okay, so maybe I should have defined short-term beforehand. It may change your rating. No, that's not a wrong answer. I just want to make sure I'm giving. Short-term would be an emergency comes, slaps you in the teeth. It's $10,000. Can you handle it? Can you handle a $10,000 punch in the teeth?
No.
Okay, so it's not an 8.
No, it's not an 8.
Man, wouldn't it be so helpful if the host of the show gave you more information to make your decisions on? Hey, Nicole, can you make a note for me to explain stuff to people in the future?
Noted.
Okay. So,
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. No, you don't know about. So you're not an 8. You're probably a 4 because you have $4,000 in savings. How did you get the $4,000 in savings?
Well, when he got out of the military, he got some money.
Yeah.
And so we have that left. We essentially lived off of that for a year before I started working.
Okay.
And then we used it, like I had school loans we paid off. And then that's kind of the residual of what's left.
And you do
we
have
had a little bit more, but
you do have some credit card debt too. You've got $1,800 in credit card debt.
Yes.
What's up with
couch
that?
that we bought.
A couch?
It's yeah, it was 0%, so we just got it instead of taking a chunk more from the savings. We just figured we'd pay $50 a month on it.
Okay. So, and you won't have any student loans, right? Or you don't have any student loans?
No, don't have any student loans.
Okay. All right, so we've got short term. I mean, we're definitely less than a 5 in terms of how your short term financial life is because we don't have enough in emergency fund. You've got a little bit of consumer debt, and so far, what we know is of that $1,500 a month, your short term could really use it. Here's what we're going to do.
Right.
We're going to take a break here in a second, but when we come back, we're going to talk about how's the midterm of your financial life look in relation to its stability, and then how's your long-term look, which will include your $1 million day. We'll do that and more with Autumn when we get back. This is the $1 Million Plan, and I'm Pete the Planner.
Yeah. Axe hand on the beat. Yes, sir. Glass House. Yes, sir. Mr. Kinetic, Rusty Redenbacher.
We're back on the $1 Million Plan talking to Autumn, her and her husband, who just got out of the military. They have $1,500 of surplus every month now because she's back at work. They got 4 kids. They just bought a couch. By the way, how can you have 4 kids and I don't hear any of them? Oh, you're back at work full time. That's why I can't hear any of your 4 kids right now. Is that true?
I'm actually have one of them with me, the oldest, but she's being very quiet. We're on a road trip, so we're actually pulled off the interstate right now, taking a break, taking a call.
God, is there anything lamer than your mom on a financial show on a road trip? That poor kid.
Yeah, she's got the headphones on with her Kindle, and she's good to go.
Well, God bless her. So here's what I got to know. Let's look at your long term for a second. You are currently you have $14,000 in long term savings. On a monthly basis, you're putting $1,200 a month into your 401k or long term savings. Is that right?
Between both of us, yes.
Okay, which makes your $1 Million day. No, I'm pausing. Oh, here we go. It's March 13th of 2040. If nothing changes and you just keep doing exactly what you're doing, on March 13th of 2040, you and Mr. Autumn will be millionaires. And to take that a little bit further, at age 67, which is full retirement age for non-military people, $2.75 million. You'll have $6,400 a month of income, but it will feel like $2,700 a month in today's dollars. So as I hit you with those numbers, if I say right now, if you keep going, doing what you're doing, you're going to have $2,700 a month of retirement income in today's dollars. How does that sit with you, given that your current household income is $5,800 a month?
Well, I know that's definitely not going to be enough. Does that include the disability that he'll be getting or no?
No, because he's not getting it right now. So,
right.
And plus, so what we try to do is when something is going to happen, we don't count it until it happens.
Right.
So that's interesting, right? We know. So let's give your short term or your long term a 6 or a 7 in terms of a rating, right? It's okay. There'll be hopefully some Social Security. Will he have any retirement benefits through the military or not?
No.
Okay. So we got some work to do there, but we're okay. Now, how about the midterm? Anytime I think of midterm and someone says to me, we have 4 kids, all I can think about is college. And your husband already used the GI Bill. So what are the thoughts here around college? Is that important to you for your kids? If so, is it financially important to you?
It's very important to me, and it's one of the biggest goals that I'm now trying to figure out how to fund. We do have 529s for each of them, and so, I was wondering what portion of this extra income should go to that. And my question basically is, in what order do we do things as far as I know that we need to increase our savings and get that to around at least 3 months expenses, but at the same time, I want to start putting a regular amount into a college, into their 529s for each of them.
Yep.
And I also was thinking of starting a Roth for me because I cannot contribute any more through my work than what I am doing.
Oh, I love this. Okay. Man, I love it. All right, so much. So how old is your oldest child? The child that is so patiently sitting in the back of the car with you while you talk to me. Like, how old is that
She's
person?
9.
She's 9. So she's got 9 years before college. How much is in her 529 plan?
Let's see. We have, I want to say hers is like 3,000.
Okay. All right. So here's my first thought on all of this. Number one priority has got to be getting the $4,000 up to like $10,000. Your $4,000 in savings. I'm just picking an arbitrary number, and it's a nice, round, beautiful number. But I think you got to have around $10K set away, which is really only 4 months. 4 months of using your surplus towards that. I will say, though, we're recording this in mid-August. Something funny happens 4 months from now, and that's the holidays, where typically people are spending money. So what we can't do is commit $1,500 in December, because my gut is, with 4 children, you might spend some money on the holidays. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Plus 2 birthdays in between now and the holidays.
So let's do this. Let's say by the end of January, you will have the ability to have $10,000 set away, assuming you don't have to draw off any of that $4,000. Is that reasonable, or does that seem unreasonable to do?
No, I think that's totally reasonable. Next month, Mr. Autumn makes an extra paycheck.
Oh, nice.
And so we already plan on just dumping that all into savings plus our additional. So we should be able to get there, I think, fairly quickly. By January definitely seems doable.
By the way, how weird would it be if you just go home and you just start calling him Mr. Autumn tonight? It's like he's a calendar guy, he's Mr. Autumn. So weird. Don't do that. And don't blame me if you do. So that's the first place we start. And by the way, you've got all these priorities that you've just listed, and they're all very good priorities. It is my opinion, an informed opinion at that you should go all out, all $1,500 of surplus a month at this goal, and do not split it up at this point in time.
Okay.
Because when it comes to an emergency fund, you cannot move on with your life feeling secure unless your emergency fund is secured. And I think, given your finances, $10,000 is a great starter emergency fund. And once that is funded come December or January, then we can tackle the other stuff. And so if you agree to that, then we'll move on to what's next. Are you good with these terms?
I'm totally good with that.
Okay. So by the way, we got 2 birthdays, we got the holidays. Is there anything else in the next 5 months or so that you think will require money?
No.
Okay. And the $1,800 you have for the couch you bought that you're paying $50 a month for, are you paying it off that there will not be any interest charges? Are you just paying it off 50 at a time and you'll never get beaten up, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay. So what is it, a 3-year credit line? What is it?
We've had it for about a year now, and I think there's 3 more years on it.
Jeez, no payments until 2020.
I know.
Was that what it was?
It was one of those bogus things, but we were just like, we won't, dip into savings, so that sounds good. And we don't have any other credit card debt, and we're really good about, we wouldn't let it gain interest, so.
What state do you live in? Can you share that with me?
Yes, Virginia.
Virginia, I don't know much about Virginia, other than
the Commonwealth state.
It is just east of West Virginia.
That is true, and I'm actually in West Virginia at the moment.
Oh my gosh!
On our road trip to New York.
Oh, good times!
So,
I feel like we're learning so much about. So you have a, I assume, a Virginia 529 plan. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you happen to know what the tax benefits are within your state? I'm trying to look on my computer right now.
That's probably something I should know, but I don't.
I'm looking right now. Ooh, FAQs. It turns out that's frequently asked questions. I'm pulling it up so we can get an answer to my question, because where I'm going with this is I feel like once your emergency fund is funded, you need to turn your focus to college.
Okay.
Specifically for your oldest daughter, because with $3,000 and 9 years to go, dudette, if I may, we need
I know.
to crank it up.
We do.
Big time.
And I'm good with that. I want to do this. It wasn't something that was provided for me, and I know the weight that student loans can carry, so I want to help. I don't know with 4 kids. I mean, I highly doubt we can really send them all 4 through, but I'd like to help as much as we can.
So what I think could be interesting, so here's the theory on both, retirement and college, is that if we run hard now, and by now I mean after you fund your emergency fund, then we can let off later when we have more information. If we see that some of your children are on the college path, or if that's a big part of this too. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a short break. Coming up after the break, I'm going to actually tell you what the Virginia tax benefits are of your 529 plan, and we'll put together a plan of what to do with your $1,500 a month surplus come January of 18. All that and more next on the $1 Million Plan. I'm Pete the Planner. And we're back here on the $1 Million Plan with Autumn on a road trip right now. Her oldest 9-year-old daughter's in the car. Her daughter thinks that she's the coolest mom in the world for being on a financial talk show. No, she doesn't. Okay, so Autumn, Virginia 529 plan, because you live in Virginia. Virginia 529 account owners can deduct their contributions up to $4,000 per account per year with unlimited carry forward to future tax years. That is to say, and I'm not a tax expert, but whatever you put into the plan, you don't have to pay tax on that money in the year in which you earn it, much in the same vein as a 401k.
Okay.
So, here, I will translate. So what that means is once you fund your emergency fund, I think, at least for the next year, you need to consider putting $1,500 a month away in the kids' plans. So that would be $18,000 over from January of 18 to January of 19. And all we have to do is determine of that $1,500 a month how much goes to each child, because your oldest, she needs the bulk of that, because how old's the second oldest?
All right, hold on tight. We have a 9-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 3-year-old.
So those years, like 2008, 2009, and 2010, there's a lot of hugging going around the Autumn household.
Yeah.
Whoa, man.
That's what happens when people deploy and they come home, and
Yeah, I've seen a movie about. No, I haven't. Okay, so that's great. So that is to say there are some challenges. So we're going to have to front load the 3, and then the younger child, because we have a little bit more time, is going to get a little less money put that way. So there's no, I'm sure there is a technically perfect way to do it, and I'm going to get financial people sending me hateful tweets and emails that I'm not giving you the number, but you know what I mean. You're just going to have to trial and error it. You're going to say, all right, I got 1,500. Let's assign 1,200 of that to the 3 oldest, and then the rest to the youngest. Whatever. Just, you know what I mean? Figure that part out. Figure that part out. Do you think you could realistically put $1,500 a month for an entire year starting in January, or do you think you'd get distracted or nervous that that's not the right thing to do?
It wouldn't make me nervous. The only thing that's going to take away from that would just be like sports and, things like that when extra money comes up. But other than that, we are totally good with putting away as much as we can, and we want to.
But I think
because we haven't.
Yeah, that's why this 10K is so important, because it has your back, right?
Okay.
Part of me wants to aggressively pay off your car and pay off that couch. And I think technically you probably should, despite the fact that it's 0% interest on the couch. But I think we're just a little bit behind the 8 ball with the 9-year-old and $3,000 in college savings. So we're going to have to crank that up.
And you know what, Pete? Typically, with any extra money, that's the first thing we would have done is, like, just wipe away that $1,800.
Yeah.
But since with listening to your podcast, I feel like I just didn't know if that was the best or if we can just gain, some time in putting that money elsewhere when that money isn't gaining interest anyway, that credit card.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No, that's why blanket mass advice sometimes can get weird, because in my opinion, I think in your situation, keep doing what you're doing with the couch, keep doing what you're doing with the car, although, that $30,000 loan kind of is not great.
No.
We have to get on college. And we can get to retirement a little bit later, but I think I'm sort of just thinking out here loud here, 3 to 4 year hardcore run at college at $18,000 a year may be warranted. And then you can pick up retirement savings right after that. But if you don't, man, those beautiful children of yours are going to be just racked with student loan debt. And that is not a fun way to send a kid out in the world.
No, and I've been there. It's not, and really, we don't want to do that to them. So we're fully on board for doing that, for whatever you think is the best.
And you did mention that when your husband's VA benefit, disability benefit, kicks in like 3 years, that may be a time in which you reevaluate your housing situation. Can you talk to me about that? What you mean by that?
We just want something a little bit bigger with a little more land.
Okay.
And when we bought this house, he had just gotten out of the military. We were moving from out of state, and it was kind of the best we could find in a short amount of time.
Okay.
But we will definitely outgrow. We actually already pretty much have, but we'll definitely outgrow the house that we're in when we have 4 teenagers for sure.
Ooh, man.
So
$1,100 a month is what you're paying on your mortgage right now. $1,175. It's a 30-year mortgage. How long have you been there on that mortgage?
2 years.
And what's the home worth?
The values in the area are really cranking up. I think we could sell it. What we could sell it for right now?
Sure.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Probably about $215.
And what do you owe on it?
$188.
Well, that's great.
Right
so,
now.
so you have a little bit of a down payment there, and by a little bit, I mean a nice bit of a down payment. And then, how much are you looking to increase your mortgage payment by 3 years from now when your household income picks up?
I haven't really thought that far into it.
I think if you stick so right now, I'm just doing some quick math. You're at $5,800 a month of household income, right? And
yeah, it's actually probably closer to like 62.
Okay.
Right now.
So you're at your mortgage right now could be $1,550 a month, and I would be very comfortable with that. Very comfortable with that. And that's at your current income, and you're at $1,175. Right. So I think what could be interesting on your next place, though, let me think out loud here. So your youngest is how old? 3, 4?
3.
6? 3. Okay. Could be interesting to look at a 15-year mortgage at your next move. But I don't know from a cash.
Thinking about that.
Yeah.
Trying to get the husband on board with that.
That's tough. I mean, that would make cash flow tight. It would help tremendously with retirement. And
I agree.
So far, we have not talked about retirement.
No.
Yeah, I would say this. Another thing you could potentially do, and I hope this doesn't distract you and then paralyze you from doing anything, but you could arguably put money into a Roth IRA, max out a Roth IRA, and put money in the 529 because you could always use the Roth IRA for college if you wanted to. And I know a lot of financial advisors like people to do that. I just think it just is really dependent on whether you want to pull out of your retirement money to send your kids to college, which I generally think is a really bad idea. I like completely separate. You know what I mean?
Yes, I understand. Well, I was thinking that I needed to start a Roth IRA just for myself because I can't contribute any more than what I'm contributing through my employer.
Yeah.
I can't contribute any more than 9%, and I'm at 9%, and I feel like because I'm just now starting that I need more, and so...
You do, but it's like the baby bird thing. I mean, there's a lot of baby birds asking for food right now.
I know.
So I don't know. If I got to make decisions on your situation, I would say that maybe reevaluate with extra cash in the next couple of years the Roth IRA thing. But I just think we got to get money in those 529s because otherwise, I mean, debt is going to be everywhere.
Right. Okay.
Any other questions before I send you about the road to your family vacation?
So you didn't give a number of what you would feel comfortable with the mortgage.
So what do you think your household income will be? Oh, you mean from a total mortgage balance? Let me see. I'm gonna have to reverse engineer this. Give me a second. On a 15-year mortgage, let's say rates are 3.25 at the time, which is sort of a guess, obviously. What do you think? 300,000? Is that? Let's sort of see what that looks like. That's too much. 250 could be close, maybe. Is that in the range you're thinking, or are you thinking more?
Probably more. Well, we were just thinking we'd pay $11.75 now, and then we'd have in 3 years the disability an extra $1,300 a month that could help go towards the mortgage.
Well, if that's the case, you could do 300,000 on a 15-year. 300,000 on, or I mean, this is where I'm going to be angry that I'm even giving you this information. But you could easily do 400,000 if you did a 30-year. But I just don't think that makes it a great decision. You know, it's
because of retirement.
Yeah, like then you've boxed yourself in the corner. I think if you can go 300-ish on a 15-year, if that's the case, let's see. I like that I'm doing this on the fly on the air. It always makes for good television. $2,100 a month would be your principal and interest payment at $300,000 a year at 3.25% on a 15-year mortgage. So that would mean you'd still be putting $40,000 down, maybe a $340,000 house. I think that's
doable where we live and with what we're looking at, I think.
Yeah, the key with someone in your situation in which you've just got a bunch of new income is to not get ahead of yourself, right? Just be patient, hit your emergency fund, get that 529 money flowing, and then make some decisions after those things take place.
Right, and we're there, I promise. The other question that I had was about my HSA.
Sure.
And if I should be maxing that out, because right now I'm not, but that also could take away from the college.
Right,
a little bit.
Exactly. How much is in your HSA right now? Anything?
Well, we just started. My employer front loads $1,200 every 6 months, and then I'm contributing $150 a month.
I think that's fine for now. It really is, because you've also are going to have that emergency fund off to the side, which is not as tax advantaged as an HSA. But I think with all the moving pieces, I would still focus on college after you get the emergency fund funded. All right?
Okay. Yes.
Well, thank you for being on the show. We appreciate it, and we keep us updated. We love updates. We love them. So just send us updates when you know more.
Okay, I will. Thank you so much, Pete.
Tell Mr. Autumn I said hello.
I will.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Axe hand on the beat. Yes, sir. Glass house.
All right, remember, an emergency fund is important because then it allows you to worry about other stuff. We needed Autumn to get her emergency fund up. Shouldn't take her more than 5 or 6 months, and then she can move on to college savings. Look, if you got like a 9 or 10 or 11-year-old and you got a few $1,000 set aside and college savings is important for you, you got to make sure you have your emergency fund taken care of and any hardcore consumer debt, and then run hard the 529 plan. All right, so let's hit the Blom this week. This week's biggest waste of money of the week is Hsa Sipping Gin. Hsa Sipping Gin. Each year, Hsa releases a special sipping gin aged in hand-selected casks. And this year, the Swedish distiller opted for X-Box whiskey casks that previously held sherry. The liquor, not the woman. The gin itself is the same award-winning recipe used in more Hsa gins, but after 21 days in the cask, so it's aged longer. It's another hit from the distillery that has the most awarded gin in Europe for the last 4 years, garnering more than 50 international master and gold medals. $108. It's the biggest waste of money. Here's why. 2 reasons. Number 1, just suck on a pine cone. It's free. Go outside, find a pine cone, place it in your hole, and suck. Because if you do that, that's basically gin in a nutshell. No offense, gin makers. Point number 2, why spend $108 on booze when for $20 you can get a bottle of Old Grandad? If you're watching on PeteThePlanner.tv, got a bottle of Old Grandad, and you can sip on that. It's delicious. Strong out of the bottle. And it's not gin. Like, what I just did is delicious. Killed some bacteria probably in my mouth, and it doesn't taste like I've had a relationship with a tree, right? So don't buy $108 gin. There's your Guam of the week. If you want to be on the podcast so we can fix your financial life, do it. Do it. I love every situation. I don't care about your situation. If you think it's too hard or too easy, I want to hear it. I want to see every conceivable financial situation in the world. That is my life's work. That is my mission. After my modeling career ended, I needed something new. And for me, it's to fix financial lives. That's what I do. Got nothing to sell you. I'm not selling you anything. It's not like you come on the show and I'm like, all right, hey, why don't you buy this $900 workshop? I don't care. I just want to fix your situation. Go to PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. Pick up a bottle of Old Grandad. I don't get any of the proceeds from that, but I just love to sell booze. Oh, that one hit pretty hard. All right. That's it for this week's show. Sending you good vibes because good vibes are all that's in the budget. My mouth hurts. This is the $1 Million Plan.
This is where I came from. Planet Lovetron, where we drop love bombs, funk missiles, and live in soul shelters. No helter skelter. The heat don't swelter because everybody stays cool. Left many moons ago to bring the philosophies of my ancestors to another place, God. Picked the third rock, gave me to my earth family, and told me to create, and so I am. Pen in my hand, microphone on the stand. Over vinyl, I command and demand. Magnificence in an instance, I can make you dance, cry, or love. Fly as a dove, released from Everest. The fresh is fresh, and you can call me E.T. Word to John Tesh. Let me bless this harmonic presentation. It's amazing, so amazing. I'm the reason. Salutations, I bring you Lovetron greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Lovetron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it? The tinkling of the keys is an homage to the little star. I sojourn over poetic descriptions of sound and travel to my other world. Out of this world, spaceship on my arm took me home, fueled by the ink and the megabytes and the hypertext transfer protocol, stronger than the Skynet and the Terminator. I push faders into warp speed, glide with